All right, welcome everybody to the Loose Lug Nuts. We are back, episode 17 of season 2. This is the All-Star Race Review, and since it is the All-Star Race Review, we have got an all-star cast here. It is not just myself, who is certainly not an all-star, but it is Zachary Brand of Old Below Me. It is Aaron Simmons directly to one side of me, and diagonal from me, our special guest again, David Bowers, aka Suspect Spotted. Let's find out how everybody is doing this evening. Let's start with you, Aaron. Aaron, how is it going this evening?
Going very well. I was very productive today. Got a lot of things done around the house, which needed to be done. I tried out my new webcam today for my computer, but unfortunately, the camera is so zoomed in on my face, you can practically count the amount of pores that are on my face. I'm not even joking about that. So I'm still on my laptop for right now. I do have a big project planned, so I'm not going to spend a lot of money on a new webcam just yet. So, fortunately, I will be on my laptop for the foreseeable future, at least until after September. So, but other than that, doing all right.
All right, Zach, how are you this evening? How's your day been?
Doing well, doing well. Finalizing plans for the Coke 600. I am going to be there, so I'm very excited about that. It's coming up this weekend, and I don't have to work on that next Monday. So I can stay up as late as I want, drink how many ever beers I want. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm not an alcoholic, I promise. But no.
Yet. Not an alcoholic yet.
I was gonna say drink as much as Haley will let you. No.
Yeah. As my mom always says, there's always enough time in the day for do something stupid. Anyway, but I'm excited to be here with you guys and get this podcast rolling. Nice to have David in the booth again, and happy to see y'all.
All right. And our special guest that makes this an all-star crew, David Bowers, known in the Xbox world as Suspect Spotted. Welcome back again, David. How are you this evening?
I am great. We kicked butt at work today, and then came home and made our bonfire ring from 10 foot to 18 foot in diameter. So we have a massive party bonfire ring now. So that's fun. Got a couple other things done, so it's been a good day overall. I'm just I messaged Zach earlier. I was like, hey, do you guys need something tonight? Because I would love to talk about this weekend's events.
Oh, there's a lot to talk about this weekend, but before we get into the world of racing, we do need to talk about, or not really talk about, but acknowledge there was a tragedy today. If you haven't heard about it, there was a school shooting at an elementary school in Texas. The last I heard was 18 killed. I think I'm not sure if it was 18 students and 3 teachers or exactly what the numbers are, but one is a tragedy, and numbers that we're hearing now are just horrific. So in honor of the people who lost their lives today at that elementary school, we want to have a moment of silence for everybody. So if you all will please join us in a moment of silence, and then we will get back to the racing world. All right, guys, thank you for that. I think that was appropriate to honor the victims of this tragedy today. But let's get on to some brighter news. The truck race. We had all 3 series in action this weekend. We actually had 4 races if you count the All-Star Open. But first up on the board is the truck race, and Zach is going to take us through that. So, Zach, take it away with the truck race.
Yeah, so I did catch quite a bit of this. So it was a good race overall. We saw a lot of side-by-side racing, different lines. But going into stage 1, Friesen and Heim are on the front row. And then you have an amazing save by Zane Smith. Friesen takes the early lead. And the first caution of the day happens when Christian Hacker goes around, which brings a restart with Friesen and Priest on the front row. Friesen secured the lead and has led every lap so far. But, however, Priest chases him down and takes the lead on lap 20. And Priest ultimately wins the stage. I wouldn't say dominant showing, but he definitely had the long run pace there. Coming into stage 2, Zane Smith was hit with a pit road penalty to begin the stage, so he fell back after that amazing first save that he had. Friesen leads with Priest, and John Hunter Nemechek is coming. So three different teams showing pretty strong showings with Friesen, Priest, and John Hunter. Pretty interesting to see. Priest makes a bonsai move for the lead and ultimately sticks it as he wins the stage number 2. For stage number 3, Heim gets spun on pit road. And then John Hunter Nemechek, using some pit strategy, gets the lead with Friesen gaining right behind him. And Ekis and Priest get together, causing significant damage to Priest's truck. Ekis is able to continue. But he also has a little bit of damage on the back of his truck. Caution number 2, Kraus gets into the wall with help from Mazechek, excuse me. One thing I did notice is stage 3 was definitely caution filled because I don't think a lot of drivers gave each other room. We saw a lot of drivers get loose on the bottom side of the track and move up and collect, which led into our other caution of the day. The third caution, Chris Wright blows a tire and collects the 5 truck. Tires were also an issue here. This was not the first blown tire or flat, but nevertheless, we have another restart. Zane Smith gets loose into the 18, and Zane will cut a tire out after running into the 18 and will be out of contention for the race, unfortunately, and that causes caution number 4. Tyler Ankrum gets run into by Ingfinger and spins around. Like I said before, it seemed like the track, as it rubbered in, got more heat into it. It seemed like it just lost a lot of grip. But people were searching for grip all over. I think the high side was really the way to go if you could make it work. If you can make the low side work, you could use that for passing. But really, it was just you're getting such a good run through the middle of the corner on that traction compound. But it was just risky all the way around. Ekis and Friesen are dueling for the lead with Hocevar in pursuit. Hocevar actually used a little bit of strategy to get where he was, and it ultimately paid off for him. He was able to maintain his position high in the order, running third right now. Caution number 5, when Ben Rhodes goes around after contact with Tanner Gray. Ben Rhodes gets loose on the bottom, goes up into Tanner Gray, and Tanner Gray gets into the wall on exit and comes back down and spins Ben Rhodes. Tempers are flaring right now. Drivers are not giving each other any type of room. It's getting towards the end of the race, and so I think that definitely had something to do with it there. Unfortunately, that ruins Ben Rhodes' good day. He had some trouble early on, but he was able to battle back, and ultimately he gets killed at this caution. Friesen leads the field with Ekis right beside him. Ekis, mind you, still has that damage on his truck, but both get terrible restarts, both spin the tire. Friesen was able to hang on the bottom line 3-1, but Ekis comes back and with only 2 to go on the outside and passes Friesen, but is not able to clear him for the lead. Friesen sends it into turn 1 and is able to take the lead and cut in front of Ekis, and he goes on to win at Texas. So pretty interesting race. I thought the stage 3 was probably the most chaotic the race had been all day. Obviously, I think that had something to do with tempers flaring and coming down to the crunch time. But overall, really interesting race, and good for Friesen to get his first win with that team. I know he's been building it up for quite a bit, and he's able to get his first win on the season and lock himself into the playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, also to add to that was Friesen's first win since 2019.
Yeah. After, and then he started his team in 20 what was it, 2019, I think, 2020, something like that. I think this is his first win with his team, his actual team. I think.
Okay, I may have misheard, but I thought that was his first wins in 2019. I thought, wow, really? Isn't that long?
Yeah. It seems like it hasn't been that long, but he's been pretty consistently up front.
But all right. Anything anybody wants to share before we move on to the Xfinity race?
Can you guys hear me? Did I mute the mic?
We can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's his third win overall. I know he won at Eldora on the dirt, and I'm looking up his stats. That's his third career win. I'm not sure where the other one was at, but a couple of things that struck me about the race is, one, Carson Hocevar bringing it home fourth. He is kind of like flying under the radar screen, racking up a lot of good finishes. That's at least his third top five, and I think the last 4 or 5 races, I know at one point he had 2 second places in a row. I'm thinking Carson Hocevar is going to visit victory lane here before it's over. And it was great to see Stuart Friesen win, because I like the guy, and he doesn't get a chance. He runs consistently well, but not up front a lot. So I was glad to see him get the win.
I am too. He's a likable guy.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I was hoping that we were going to have a Haley Deegan appearance, because she qualified P6 but brought it home P17, which is kind of about where she normally runs, somewhere in that usually 15 to 20 spot. But I was hoping we were going to have a Haley Deegan appearance in the top 10, but it didn't happen.
No.
Well,
I think it will, though.
She's teammates with Tanner Gray, right?
I do not know
15 truck, I think she is. In fact, I know she is, I think. Like 99% sure she's teammates with him. So, Gray was running in the top 10. So I don't know if it's something with her car. I know she was battling near the top 10 towards late in the race, but ultimately comes home P17. It's a little bit disappointing after that strong qualifying start. I know a lot of people were really excited to see her up there, like you were.
Yep. All right, before we go to Xfinity, you may got anything else to add from the truck race? Okay. All right, I am up with Xfinity. And with Xfinity, we had a couple of the NASCAR Cup guys drop down and decide to run Xfinity. We had William Byron and we had Tyler Reddick dropping down. So those were two of the big names to keep an eye on. Several cars to the back at the very start, including Ty Gibbs being probably the biggest name of any of those. Now, I'll get you through stages 1 and 2 pretty easily, but stage 3, I'm not even sure I can keep up with what went on in stage 3. Even looking at notes, I'm not sure I can keep up with it. But Junior Motorsports looked really strong. They had Gregson in the lead with Allgaier second. Surprisingly, early on, Tyler Reddick, who was your eventual winner, fell back, started up front. By mid part of stage 1, he was all the way back to 12th in just about 20 laps. So the car did not start off well for him at all. We had a spin that brought out a caution with about 8 to go in the stage, which is where we see some strategy coming into play that I really thought was going to be interesting. And it kind of worked out like you went like this, but you came back to this. So everybody had a different way of getting to the same end point. But on that caution, Josh Berry, Ty Gibbs, and Tyler Reddick pit under caution with 8 to go in stage 1. So that moves them way to the back for the last few laps of stage 1. But then they cycle to the front at stage 2 because everybody else came in for fresh rubber, but they had pitted under caution. So you've got Josh Berry and Tyler Reddick up front in stage 2. And not a lot goes on. We have some action back and forth, but at the end of the day, Allgaier makes his way through the field to get to second place, but Josh Berry on the old tires holds off Allgaier for the stage 2 win. So through the first 2 stages, JR Motorsports had led every single lap, okay? And it was looking to be a dominant day for them. And then we have stage 3, which is just chaos, okay? Noah Gragson loses 4 spots on pit road, and he had been running up front and doing very well. On the restart, another junior motorsports driver has troubles. Josh Berry gets loose but saves it. But when you've got a car getting loose at the front of the field on the restart and everybody has to check up behind him, that's a lot of cars that are going to be taking evasive action. Everyone checks up behind him, but Gregson and Gibbs get destroyed. So there are two very fast cars destroyed at the start of stage 3, Noah Gregson and Ty Gibbs. Okay. Caution with 68 to go, and some of the leaders are pitting, namely Tyler Reddick and Austin Hill, which I did not understand at the time because that was just outside the fuel window. So to begin with, you're outside the fuel window when you're pitting, and to think that they're going to run 68 green flag laps without a caution seemed a little bit unrealistic to me. And this is about where things start to get a little bit crazy. Reddick is starting way back in the field, about 17th. And I don't know where we're at right now. I think we're at about 3 or 4 cautions. And by the time we're done, we have 12. Allgaier has a flat tire while leading, which brings out another caution. We have another wreck on the ensuing restart between Ryan Sieg and David Starr. Then Ryan Sieg comes back out, wrecks an already damaged car, bringing out caution number 10. Okay. Caution number 11 is Alex LeBay spins with lots of cars spinning to avoid him. Brandon Jones is the only one to pit under caution. I think we wound up with 12 cautions when it is all done. Everybody talks about how important the aerodynamics are. If you saw Brandon Jones' car, he had got in a wreck and had damage. There was a massive hole in the front of the grill, and he was running second place. The car looked like it had been at Martinsville or Bristol. How Brandon Jones was up there, I have no idea. But he was literally running second place for several laps with, a hole like this big on his grill. But at the end of the day, Reddick has fresher tires. So even though he started off pitting with 68 to go, by the time we have all these cautions and people pit, don't pit, he winds up being the guy with the freshest tires instead of the guy with the oldest tires. And Reddick flies past everybody. Austin Hill, Brandon Jones takes the lead with 31 to go. Even though we had the final caution with, I think, about 25 to go, Reddick just absolutely checked out on those front tires. It was like stage 3, I think, had 5 cautions, if I am not mistaken. Tyler Reddick went from starting the race by fading 10 spots in about 20 laps to at the end checking out and winning the race easily. Tyler Reddick getting Big Machine Racing, sponsored primarily, I think, by Big Machine Vodka, their first ever win. So big day for all of those guys. And Tyler Reddick just continues his streak of being able to run up front. This time he closes the deal with the win in the Xfinity Series. So that is all of stage 3 that I could at least keep track of, and that's the Xfinity race.
Sounds like the Xfinity race was just absolutely pure chaos toward the end.
Well, it was kind of like, since we're nearing the end of the school year, it was kind of like the kids who behave all year long, and then like the last week when there's no tests left and they know their grades are already set, then they just kind of go crazy. That was stage 3. Everybody played nice. Everybody, gave each other room. Nobody pushed the issue through the first 2 stages. But in stage 3, it was just chaos. We had 2 wrecks on restarts. Okay. We had 2 guys with cars that were already wrecked come out to try to run a few more laps and wreck again. So, yeah, you had a little bit of everything.
Lordy, Lord, what a mess.
Well, okay, speaking of what a mess, that's a great transition to the All-Star race, Simoleons.
It is indeed. Before we go to the utter nonsense and garbage that is the All-Star race, Zach, do you have anything you want to add to the Xfinity race?
Oh no, I honestly I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I did watch the highlights and they proved pretty interesting, except for that crazy third stage. I'm sure you guys already discussed it. Pretty I don't know, not unsuspecting, but anyway.
Okay.
Hey, Simoleons, give us a close-up of that hat.
Terry, I love you, man. Yes.
Hold on. Give you a big solo layout there.
the greatest team ever in college football, without question or debate, the Tennessee Volunteers.
I'll let that be your story.
Hey, you know what? After this year, we'll see. But anyway, going from absolute beautiful, masterpieces of art to absolute chaos, nightmares, and things that should never see the light of day ever again. The All-Star race. All right, so since we're like 20 minutes into this, I'll go ahead and condense it down as much as I can for you guys. So the Open, you had Stenhouse and Busher winning both stages, which means they're automatically into the All-Star event. But then the man, the myth, the Mexican mad lad, that is Daniel Suarez, wins the All-Star Open. So technically, that's his first win of his career, and I will put it there. Finally, he gets some sort of a win. So, into the main event, stage 1. You got Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney, the two arguably hottest drivers in the season right now. They're on the front row to start. But then I'm not gonna lie to you, I was rewatching this event. I spent like the first 15 laps reviewing, working on the agenda, and literally nothing of note happened. I was just working away on this agenda, and as the race is going, I completely lost touch of where things were. I came back to find, nothing changed. Cool. Really, the only thing that's really of note right here in stage 1 is that Blaney is starting to slowly catch Kyle Busch, but then Suarez is on the move. He started from the rear up 9 spots from the start, and this is like lap 20. So really 20 in 20 laps, he's already up 9 spots. That's absolutely amazing. But unsurprisingly, Kyle's not given it the lead all race. And he won stage 1. What to do? Stage 2, this is where the hell starts for everybody. So top 8 drivers, meaning Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain, Blaney, Larson, Truex, Cindric, Logano, and Busher did not pit. Also, Busher, you got hosed in the intros, man. Sorry about that. Busch and Blaney are up front. Busch got a commanding lead off the bat. But then Blaney, I don't know if he got a run off turn 1 or something, but he gets absolutely chop blocked by Ross Chastain. He goes up the track to try and avoid him. He's going to lose a ton of spots. Gets them all back. Tries to go underneath Ross Chastain again. Overdrives the car. Loses more spots going up the track. So Blaney is just trying to figure out kind of where that boundary is with this car. But then Bubba Wallace is going to pit for a loose wheel and loses a lap on lap 4. And here's where we get to the absolute insanity. Caution number 1 of the day. Kyle Larson blows a tire. Go figure. Hits the wall with heavy damage. Lost the right front tire. He's one of the people that did not change tires on that caution. And he is obviously done for the day. But what he said during his post-race comments was interesting. He said that, quote, I figured our car was good enough depending on restarts because you can't pass at all, especially the leader anyway. Then he wanted to say, quote, it's Kyle's race to lose at this point. It is pretty impossible to pass. And he would get, I want to say commentator's curse, because I think he cursed Kyle right there, but that's just me. And so even from Kyle Larson, the man, the myth, the young money that is Kyle Larson, even with all his talents, he said for him it's impossible to pass. So I don't know. But on the restart is Kyle Busch leads with Ross Chastain and Austin Cindric in tow. Name you haven't heard of since Daytona. But then Suarez again is on the move. And then I love Mike's comments. Must be the jalapenos. Very subtle jab there, Mike. So move past that. But then it was right here where I think this tire issue, Goodyear needs to get figured out now. Because it went from day ruining to life threatening at this point. And you guys know exactly where I'm going to. Caution number 2, Kyle Busch loses a right rear tire, or I believe a right rear tire. I'm not sure which one. But either way, loses a rear tire, has to slow up on the front straightaway, and gets down as low as he can to let traffic go through. But then Ross Chastain just didn't see him or couldn't have no way to avoid him at the time. He gets up and literally drives over Kyle Busch, nearly goes over. I mean, he literally was nearly 90 degrees. like literally near 90 degrees was his car. Luckily, gets on all fours again, collects Chase Elliott, and in just a horrific crash for all those involved. And me and Tom were watching this event. I told Tom, yeah, this is life-threatening at this point. This isn't just a day ruiner. This could kill somebody. And so they had to red flag the event for a while because, go figure. Briscoe on pit road. Looks like with some engine trouble, but it looks like that won't affect him for the rest of the race. But now, since you're pretty much top 4 contenders of Larson, Busch, Ross Chastain, and Chase Elliott are out of the race, it is now anybody's game. So Cindric and Blaney on the front row with Suarez and Byron in tow. Right. Now Cindric is showing some muscle here. He's trying to battle with Blaney for the lead, with Byron coming in hot. Unfortunately, Blaney and Byron had nothing for Cindric, and so Cindric will win stage 2. But then Blaney is going to bump Cindric after the stage. Not really liking the way Cindric was running with him, but I think Cindric's going to make up for that in stage number 4. Meanwhile, stage 3. Really nothing happened in stage 3. Got Byron Blaney in the front row. Blaney takes the lead with Bell closing in. No one has anything for Blaney. Blaney wins stage 3. That's really it. Bell goes around all 4. But there you go. Nothing happened in stage 3. Stage 4. We got Cindric and Blaney on the front row with Blaney in the lead. Hamlin and Suarez is having a hell of a battle. Hamlin is now starting to show his strength. Wallace is going to be on pit road before the competition caution. Oh, by the way, that's one more thing they did in stage 4. That's a gimmick. Instead of competition caution, they will allow drivers, if there is not a caution in 10-15 laps, they throw a caution. So cool. So that caution clock is back. At least for the All-Star race. I hope they don't make that permanent. Which probably will. Apparently, Wallace said that he had a tire going down, even though all tires look fine. It may have been down. I don't know. Fourth caution of the day, Eric Jones hits the wall. It looked like he got loose. It didn't look like a tire issue happened there, but who knows? But then here's where the strategy comes into play. Truex, Byron, Hamlin, Kurt Busch, and a whole bunch of others go down pit road. Larry Mack in the broadcast is saying stay out. Boyer says pit. Now, also talking to this, I'm saying you got to pit right now, get some fresh tires. You saw what Suarez did to the pack. He got to the pack in nearly no time. But in the end, it looks like just staying out was fine. And then Blaney and Cindric on the front row. Hamlin already up to 5th with 20 to go. Hamlin is charging through the pack. Up to 3rd with 18 to go. 2nd with 13 to go. But then after that, it looked like he just could not get to Blaney in time. I don't know if he was within those tires. I don't know what happened, but it seemed like his car just went away, and Blaney was just pulling away. And it looked like he was going to win the All-Star race for the first time until... Tom, you want to pull up the video?
Race must end under the green flag, no matter what.
Final lap, coming off turn 4.
Away, no problem.
And Blaney is going to win. No, not really.
Caution waves, but did he get the checker before the caution for that car on the back straightaway?
They are celebrating.
Really?
They think it is over.
We're going to go back racing, boys.
And right
the caution
there.
lights are already flashing on the fence. The car that was in the wall in the back straightaway, there were only 2 cars behind it. They both dropped to the bottom and then cleared that car before the caution flag waved.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know what to say.
I do, but I won't.
It was they threw it right before he got to the line.
Oh, man.
Ooh.
Here's why the caution came out.
Right there.
Oh, man. That is life-threatening.
Up out of the groove and not really in harm's way.
And before the caution lights came on, the rest of the field had cleared him, and this was the last lap, so the race would have ended.
So anyway, after all of that, Blaney takes the window net down. He thinks he's won, but said he has to basically just hold the window net up and try to drive at the same time, which is virtually impossible. He gets
And illegal.
very illegal. He gets one clip up, but the front clip is not in. I mean, hell, you can see the thing waving, or the window net waving as he was going by, which is very illegal.
The NASCAR's like, we already look pretty stupid, so let's just let them roll.
Yeah, pretty much said, now just let him go. Instead of doing the sensible thing, like, I don't know, bring him down pit road, fix his window net, and give him his spot back.
Okay, but
that's his reason.
That's what I said too. But NASCAR's looking at it like, all right, we let him come down pit road, and then fix it and let him get his spot back, and then we have X amount of people mad at us for this, X amount of people mad at us for the yellow already. Like, it's just a horrible decision. Horrible.
Yeah. And so once they finally allow the very illegal car of Blaney to actually compete, they go around again, and Blaney is able to hold off Hamlin and a hard-charging, Byron, for third, Cindric. Blaney wins, as he should have, but I wanted to see another driver win just to see how itty-bitty the pieces were of NASCAR, or formerly was NASCAR, when the fans absolutely tore them apart. So that was the absurd All-Star race. The worst race of the year. I'm calling it right now.
Lord, I hope so. I hope we don't have something worse than this.
I think it'd be pretty hard to beat, really and honestly.
And by the way, NASCAR, that's not a challenge. Don't try and beat that.
That's not a. This is not a hold my beer moment. Yeah.
I mean, thank God this was a points race, and thank God I really didn't spend a lot of time watching this, to be completely honest with you. I think I watched the last stage, and that was it. And that's really all I needed to tell about how absolutely stupid the All-Star race has gotten. It seems like every year they try new things, which is great. Good, we do want them to try new things on a points-paying race, but do that in the opens, don't or any other stages. Like, have them race and actually use some of the actual rules that you have in the rule book and a normal race, and don't confuse drivers as much. I think that was the main thing. I mean, first place, that caution should not have been called. I think we all can agree on that. And then secondly, the whole procedure. So you wanted to call the caution, and let's just say they weren't trying to call a caution just to extend it. They were trying to call a caution for driver safety. So you're doing that for driver safety, and then you have a guy with his window net down that could potentially is like arguably probably worse in my opinion. And you don't get that fixed. And then not only that, but you make all the other drivers mad because of it as well. So I don't know.
And Hamlin was saying he was upset about it because of the safety aspect, and we need to have rules, and rules are rules and stuff like that. But I can't help but think part of him just really wanted to win the All-Star race.
Well,
he had a million reasons to be upset about that.
True.
Yeah.
And the fans had 1,500,000 reasons as to why we were mad about that.
Well, several things. I was really worried about Ryan Blaney on the last restart. I mean, I was praying that he did not get into an accident, because that window net was not properly secured, and it was pretty obvious that it wasn't. And for all that NASCAR preaches safety, they really look like hypocrites by not dealing with that. And you're right. They could have handled it a number of ways. They could have black flagged the race for a minute and let an official put it back up. They could have sent him down pit road. They could have done a lot of things to give him his spot back and maintain the safety, because they admitted that's one of the news stories that they shouldn't have called the caution. But that, the NASCAR flubs aside, there's a couple other storylines here that I think we missed. Tyler Reddick not making it in shocked me. he's been one of the top drivers in the Cup Series all year and couldn't even get into the All-Star race. That really shocked me that he didn't manage to win any of the stages in the Open. The other thing is the clean air is better than everything. Clean air is your top 3 things to have. Whatever is fourth is a distant fourth. You can literally be Ryan Blaney with 30 laps on your tires and hold off somebody with fresh tires because you have the cleanest air. Okay. And you could pass anybody that wasn't the leader. There's a lot of passing in the race, but not for the lead. 125 laps of green flag racing. How many green flag passes were there for the lead? Anybody want to guess?
0.
One. Ryan Blaney overtook Denny Hamlin on lap 4 of stage 3, I think. But Ryan Blaney made a pass for the lead 4 laps into a run. 1 pass for the lead under green flag in 125 laps of racing. So,
which is odd because I'm sorry, Tom, but Kansas was a lot better race, and it's freaking Kansas. It's literally the definition of a cookie cutter track, but at Texas, there was none of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Going back to this window nut thing, imagine driving one-handed all the way around.
One-handed. He was driving no-handed. At one point, he had both hands trying to put the window down, and he was like using his knees or legs or whatever to hold the wheel straight. At one point, he was driving with no hands.
Ridiculous. I feel like this entire All-Star race was just a complete embarrassment. I think we thought that Kansas was an embarrassment for NASCAR. I feel like this was just absolutely miles worse.
I didn't think Kansas was a bad race. Kurt Busch was able to drive through the field and win. I didn't have a problem with Kansas at all.
I misspoke. What was that race where we're like, this is bad for NASCAR? I feel like
I think it was Martinsville.
Martinsville
we
was
had
pretty bad.
No green flag passes in 500 racing laps.
Okay, we thought that was bad for NASCAR. This is miles worse. Controversy. It's just a gimmick, and also the All-Star race is not what it used to be, and I think you're gonna be hard pressed to find.
I'd like to see the All-Star race go back to Charlotte because that's when it was in its heyday.
I would like to see it.
Texas sucks as a whole.
Seriously, ever since they did the traction or the resin on that high groove, it's just been ruined. I mean, we used to have really good races at Texas, and now we get basically it's a super speedway essentially.
A one group super speedway race.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We got a lot to get through here, and we'll talk about some of these things as we go through. But let's hit the news stories. Zach, that is your segment. So, Zach, why don't you take us through the news stories?
One of the biggest news of the week, just dropping today, actually, Trackhouse will field a third car for at least one race this season, featuring an international driver. They created it's called I think it's Driver 91. I think it's called or something along those lines. It's going to be car number 91, and it's set to field an international driver. So I think this is good for the sport. I think it's awesome to see. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Tom, let's start with you.
I think it is great. I'm curious to see who the international driver is and whether it's somebody from Canada or Mexico or Europe. I'm curious to see if it's somewhat of an unknown or if they pull maybe somebody who's a retired Formula One driver down. I also want to throw out there, is this Trackhouse Racing's start of fielding a third team? Are they going to do a few one-off races like this over the next couple of years and then say they're expanding to a third team? So I think that, I have nothing but positive things to say about it. And I think that it shows that Trackhouse Racing is at least ready to expand a little bit.
Yeah. And I think this actually, if you could go a step further, and I think you could say that this is maybe a potential parlay into some fielding like a B team for them. because I feel like this might open. I don't know if you guys know anything about this, but McLaren partnered with an IndyCar team and then bought them out. If you have international partnerships, Mercedes or something like that, they could potentially come in and see that as an opportunity to partner with a team to make it easier for the barrier to entrance to get into NASCAR. So I think you could take a step further there. But what are your thoughts on this, Aaron?
My thoughts are this is an excellent thing for Trackhouse, especially. Right now, I'm kind of seeing the 91 is kind of like a testing car probably right now to kind of see kind of where their setups are and to see, who's going to really be a good fit for the 91 team if they plan to go full time. So and plus, hey, if they have the sponsorship for a third team, then that is absolutely tremendous and good job Trackhouse, because again, they started just last year. So I think this is a huge step for them.
What about you, David?
I love it. The international reach thing. Jordan. It's called Project 91. I see Mike commented, said big rumor is that it's Daniel Ricciardo over the summer F1 break, which that would be pretty sweet to see too. But man, Trackhouse expanding or even thinking about a third car, halfway through the season of their first season as a team, it's pretty wild, to be honest. I love to see it though. I love Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez. I would love to see this team go to 3. I just hope that they don't do it too fast and end up kind of backwards momentum,
Yeah.
Okay, this is not Trackhouse's first season. Okay, they were racing. This is the first season where they have bought out Chip Ganassi, but they were running last year before they bought out Chip Ganassi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I said that I'm fully expecting the 91 team to kind of be a part-time ride for drivers in there. To me, that makes the most sense.
And I think they might actually try this on a road course for the first time. And keep in mind, with that rumor of Daniel Ricciardo coming over during the F1 summer break, keep in mind the Glen is during F1's 3-week summer break. So I think that might be interesting. Remember, he drove around when they were at Circuit of the Americas. He drove the Dale Earnhardt number 3. He's very big into NASCAR, so I would love to see that happen if it is. I hope that rumor is actually true. That would be perfect.
Put Aaron.
Now, see, I like that rumor down there. I love that rumor down there. Put me in the car, baby. Let's go.
It's an international driver. You either have to take up residency in Canada or Mexico or some other place. Sorry.
I mean, my family did come from England, so hey, baby.
Dirt says Ross Chastain makes it to the Final Four and Trackhouse wins the championship within the first 5 years. I said the other day that Ross Chastain could win it this year.
Yeah, that's at the rate they're going. That's very plausible.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's keep going with our news stories here.
All right,
what you got next?
Second one is going to be NASCAR explains the final caution for the All-Star race, basically blaming it on the race director, and saying that. It was his fault and he had sole responsibility for it, and then saying that it was probably premature. So, what are you guys' thoughts on this, Aaron?
Probably premature.
Probably.
You freaking think?
What?
I mean, look. We've had some really BS calls in NASCAR over the course of its history, but I think this one is definitely like top 10. Not just for the fact that a car literally just scraped the wall on the final lap and possibly could have cost somebody a win, but the fact that he was on the final lap, not 50 feet from the finish line, the guy thinks he's won. He took the window net down. But then he can't get it back up, and then not tell him to, hey, go down pit road and fix your window net, and then come back up and we'll get your spot back. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, hell, I'm nowhere near a NASCAR executive, and even I think that's a better idea than what you guys did. I mean, come on. This is your job. People's lives are on the line here.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Tom?
Right now, the race director for NASCAR is taking his clothes to a dry cleaner wherever he lives, and the dry cleaner is saying, "How do you get those tire tracks on that bus all over your clothes?" Because he was just totally thrown under the bus there. And
As
in
he
all
should.
honesty, here's how I think it went down. I think either the mindset was, or he was explicitly told, anything happens on this last lap, you throw a caution. We need to have some kind of drama. We need to manufacture an exciting finish. Anything happens on this last lap, you don't hesitate to throw that caution. I think that was either an explicit statement or that was the mindset, because the race had not been very exciting. Whoever was out front couldn't be passed. And I think as soon as he heard crash on the backstretch, he hit that button. I think without hesitation, without thinking, without looking, he was like, that's all I needed to hear, caution. Because I really think they were trying to manufacture an exciting finish to what was an otherwise lackluster race.
Yep.
Exactly. What about you, Dan?
Honestly, what I think what happened was that the race was so boring that the NASCAR executives up there had fallen asleep. And so also when they get something over the intercom saying like, "Hey, car on the wall," they wake up for seconds like, "Oh, what?" Just smash the caution button, then they realize what lap it was.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, whoops.
Look, I'm telling you, NASCAR they're looking to create more entertainment. Tom is exactly right. That's exactly what I think happened too. As soon as he hit that wall, the race director was like, bam! Little did he know NASCAR was going to be like, it was that guy. But I mean, at the end of the day, they wanted the exciting finish. And had anybody else won other than Ryan Blaney, you would add a whole bunch of mad people. And the funny thing is I feel like as soon as that yellow came out, as soon as they heard the broadcast and Mike Joy just being like, what exactly did he say? I know what I could say, but I shouldn't or won't or something like that. But yeah, I think it was all manufactured for entertainment, and I think NASCAR had a panic moment when they realized that the window net was down and he couldn't get it back up, and they just said send it, which was a stupid decision. But no matter how they cut that, as soon as they let that restart happen, everybody was mad.
Because NASCAR's never had a rigged moment ever in their illustrious history. Not
Ever?
once.
No.
Never. No.
No.
Carl Edwards didn't lose a championship over debris. Nah.
Don't remind me.
Yeah.
But
right.
yeah. So if you look at the if you look at the poll, Jeff Gluck puts out polls for every single race. So this race ranked 239 out of 239 races polled. So the lowest ever, with only 11% saying this was a good race. And most of those 11% probably clicked it by accident.
Ouch.
This is
Or
the
they
lowest.
were Ryan Blaney fans.
Yeah.
Maybe. This is the lowest ranked race in 6 years. The previous low was the 2016 Brickyard 400, with only 17% of the people saying it was a good race. Absolutely dismal. And if you looked at the Marcus Smith, the president of and CEO of Speedway Motorsports, he commented on the people saying that the venue was essentially trash, and said that we had people complaining that it was in Charlotte, and that's why we moved it to Texas, and we're not going to make everyone happy.
Well, right now you're making nobody happy.
Yeah.
So you take it from a venue that was starting to get fairly old, wanted to mix it up. So take the Bristol, which is a fantastic idea, and they move it to Texas, which is an absolute garbage idea.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
I would like to see it in Vegas personally.
Well,
that
might never happen. So
no,
we'll see.
Not for the.
But that is the news for this week.
All right, let's go into who's hot and who is not. You know what? Let's let our guest David go first. David, who you got for who's hot and who's not this week?
Oh, crud. All right, well, who's hot? I'm definitely going to still go with Ross Chastain. Every week, I feel like I'm seeing him up front. I feel like him and Daniel Suarez both are on just a lightning fast streak right now, and they're both running good every week. I really want to see Suarez win, but I think Chastain's the hotter of the two right now. And then
okay, David. Chastain was not. You're mixing it up here. He was not up front this week. He was up in the air.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about overall, like a past X amount of weeks. But if you're talking about just the All-Star race, yeah, who's not would be Ross Chastain, huh? Or Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
Larson with another blown tire. That man can't get away from blown tires. But on the who's hot, I kind of like to see Austin Cindric up there. I know Blaney won the race, but Cindric was showing out for the first time since what it seems like Daytona. Yeah. He it was nice seeing him back up there, a rookie up front running around. So that'd be my who's hot. I like it.
Okay.
All right, Aaron, who you got?
All right, so for my who's hot, I got to go with Penske teammates. Because like I said, Cindric and Blaney were a little heated at each other for how they were racing each other in the All-Star race. But when push came to shove, when it came to be crunch time, Cindric put their differences aside and pushed Blaney to the win. And so I got to give it up to Penske teammates. They know when to keep their cool and help teammates out when needed. For my who's not, I mean, come on. I'm going for the low-hanging fruit here. NASCAR, and as a bonus, I'm going Goodyear for making such shit tires.
Double whammy, and you stepped on them, make sure they were dead.
Damn right.
Ran them over with the bus.
Honestly, they're lucky. Honestly, you're lucky I didn't include Texas in here.
You
Just because it's a shit track.
No, I'll allow
Okay.
it. Go ahead, put it in there.
Okay. All right, Zach, who have you got?
Yeah, so for my hot, I'm going to go with Austin Cindric. Seemed like he was able to beat up towards the front a little bit, pretty much for the majority of the All-Star race. Show his muscle. I think it's a stark turnaround for what they have done so far in the season after that Daytona 500 win. Hopefully, this brings him more improved confidence and better finishes on the season. Time will tell, but it seemed like this might be a turning point for him. On the flip side, as far as Tyler Reddick's concerned, he can win in the Xfinity Series with a no-name team, but he cannot even get into the All-Star race with his own team. I don't know what is going on with RCR and more specifically Tyler Reddick, but his horrible strings of finishes continues by not even being able to qualify for the All-Star race. So he is my who's not for this week and 2 weeks, the past 2 weeks. So hopefully he can turn that around.
All right, that leaves it up to me, and I have to go the exact opposite direction of Zach and say my hot is Big Machine Racing, who got their first ever victory as an organization this week in the Xfinity Series with Tyler Reddick behind the wheel. So my hot is Big Machine Racing. Congrats to them on getting their first ever victory. My who's not is green flag passes for the lead, because we had 125 laps of green flag racing at Texas, maybe more if you count the green white checkered at the end. We had one green flag pass to the lead. You could literally have tires that are 30 laps older than your competition, but if you had cleaner air, you could hold them off. Something's got to be fixed with this, whether it's the aero package or whether it is something specific to the track at Texas. Something has got to be fixed. That's great if you can run from 25th place to 5th. That's great. But if one guy can lead just by having clean air, it doesn't make for good racing. So
No.
green flag passes for the lead are my who is not. So with that, now we know who's hot and who's not. Now it is time for our green flag, red flag segment, and that is Aaron. So Aaron, take us through green flag, red flag.
All right, gentlemen. We have 3 for tonight because we got one more thing we want to keep in store for you guys. So first, green flag, red flag of the night. The biggest problem that NASCAR has to fix right now is, and this is a choose your own adventure game. So green flag is clean air prevents passes for the lead. Red flag is tire issues. The yellow flag is single lug nut. So green, red, or yellow flag, what is NASCAR's biggest problem that they have to fix right now?
And don't forget, fans, chime in, give us a comment, tell us what you think.
And so, with that said, Zach, we'll start with you first, just arbitrarily.
As much as I want to go green flag and say clean air prevents bad passes for the lead, I have to say red flag. Tire issues are a little bit more of a concern right now. The only reason why I waver is because I think it might also be related to setup issues. We have seen that certain teams get them more often, so that is what makes me to believe that. But at this point, we're seeing them so often. I think that it's becoming more of a Goodyear issue rather than a setup issue. So that's why I'm going to say red flag.
Okay. Tom, what say you?
I'm going to agree with Zach. I think it is the tire issues. I thought we had good racing at Kansas last week. And it was a 1.5 mile track, and we saw passes for the lead there. So I thought that the clean air preventing you from passing the leader doesn't exist at every track. Tire issues have existed at every track. So I'm going to have to go with tire issues being the biggest problem NASCAR is facing right now, red flag.
Okay. And David, what say you, buddy?
You already know, Aaron. We were talking about it. Red flag all day. Red flag. These tires are horrible, and we're going to tracks and cutting tires what seems to be really early in runs, and it's not stopping throughout the race. If you lose momentum with a flat, I mean, you can't move. You got to have a push truck come, shove you out or tow you out. You get stuck in the grass consistently. I mean, Goodyear's got to get this figured out. The low profile tires look cool and all, and yeah, they got a wider base, but we got to get something figured out because these things suck.
Yeah. And I will agree with all three of you here. Honestly, all three need to be addressed horribly. But for right now, I think the biggest issue right now is going to be tires because, like I said earlier in this broadcast, these tire issues have transformed from a day ruiner to possibly a life ruiner with that Kyle Busch Ross Chastain hit. So these tires have to be addressed immediately, if not sooner.
Can we talk about what in the heck Kyle Busch was doing? Why was he
He had
going
a flat
down?
tire.
Why was he
Flat
going
tire.
down across the track?
He was trying to
traffic?
Get out of the way.
Trying to get out of the way.
You
Yeah.
can't
Trying
stay
to get
up
out of the
high
way.
and let traffic pass.
The high side is the racing group.
He blew the
He was
tire
in the
like
he was in the
middle.
tri-oval.
Yeah,
I don't
he blew
know.
it like
Yeah,
I
there's
thought it
really
was-
nowhere to go in the tri-oval. I mean, like, yeah, you can't go.
You stay high
you
into
can't go on
turn
the
one,
outside,
can't
but
you?
you're going to get hit once you go into that little straight before turn one.
Yeah, I just thought it was odd. That was not. There was really nothing where that Ross could do. I just thought
No.
he turned down pretty hard to me. But
Yeah,
All right, keep us going, Aaron.
yeah, there's really nothing he could have done. But all right, number 2 of the night. NASCAR should have black flagged Ryan Blaney before the final restart because his window net was not properly secured. Green flag or red flag? Tom, let's start with you first.
They should have black flagged him. Now, I think they should have black flagged him to let him fix it and have his spot back. But Zach, and you guys talk about the safety issue with Ross Chastain going over Kyle Busch's car. To me, a window net that's not properly secured is a much bigger safety issue. Especially when he's starting at the front of the field on old tires, when we know there have been lots of tire issues at this track. To me, it was a huge safety issue. And you think we're talking about a black eye for NASCAR right now? Imagine if Ryan Blaney gets into a wreck and gets seriously injured or killed. Imagine how much worse that black eye is for NASCAR right now. They were extremely lucky that nothing happened. That is a safety issue that they should not have compromised on. He should have been black flagged, but in my opinion, they should have black flagged him or red flagged the race, but given him his spot back. But there's no way he should have started with that window net the way it was.
All right, David, what say you, buddy?
Yeah, for sure. Like NASCAR put him in that position, right? I mean, there was no need for a caution. He thought the race was over. The guy was holding the checkered, all of a sudden switched to the yellow, started waving the yellow flag. I mean, Ryan Blaney is not at fault whatsoever. So, yeah, they should have black flagged him or just told him to come down pit road and fix it. Letting him race like that was just absolutely stupid because we all say, "Oh, that's never going to happen," and then what happens? It happens, and somebody gets hurt. So that absolutely stupid decision, ignorant decision.
All right, and Zach.
Yeah, I think that he should have been black flagged. If you go back and look, it just looks terrible for NASCAR. And this very easily could have been prevented in the first place, but also make it right and do the right thing, which is black flagging Ryan Blaney. And you can allow him to get a spot back. I don't really know what else you could do there besides that, but definitely should have black flagged him for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to go green flag and saying that he should have gone down pit road to get his window net fixed. But I'm not saying just give him a black flag, even though it probably doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But NASCAR should never let that to begin with. I mean, if you're going to throw a caution because a car is in the wall and could potentially hurt somebody, and then not tell a driver who has a window net not properly secured to knock him down pit road and fix it, which side of the fucking fence are you on? You're either for driver safety or not for driver safety. You can't be on both sides of that fence. So, yeah, absolutely, he should have gotten down pit road and gotten that thing fixed and gotten his spot back because that was a bullshit caution. We all know it.
And before we go to the next one, I just want to, and I don't know this, but I question it. Okay, I have sat in some sports cars. Okay, that are very low profile, low to the ground, and the windows have a very much I guess you call it a flat slope to it. Okay. The point I bring up all this, when you sit in a car like that, and I would imagine a NASCAR Cup car is the same, if not more, you can't see up very much, okay? You can see forward, but with the slope and everything, you can't see up a lot. With where Ryan Blaney was on the track and how elevated the flag stand was and how close he was to it, I question if he could have even seen the caution lights or the yellow flag as he was driving under it. He may not have even seen that. And the last thing he saw was the checkered flag when he was a few hundred yards away and not even seen those. So he may have been taking that window net down, having not seen the yellow flag at all, which just gives it even more reason to give him a chance to fix it. But, I question what his viewpoint was from there. And I've never sat in a Cup car, but I know you sit low to the ground and you have a sloped glass like that and you have a low roof, you don't have a lot of visibility up. So anyway, I just throw that in as an additional perspective.
He said he's got a special idea for that window net.
I bet so. Let's see it. But all right, last green flag, red flag of the night. All of the Penske cars stayed out and didn't pit on the final two cautions. Green flag if you think this is because of team orders. Red flag if you think this is because each crew chief made the call individually. David, we'll start with you first.
Green flag. I said it during the race. They definitely stayed out to block for, what was it, Cindric was up front?
Blaney was up front.
No. Yeah,
Hamlin.
but they blocked for somebody to get the stage win. Logano, maybe? I think Blaney and Cindric were already up front. But whoever it was that was out front, I don't remember. They blocked for him for sure. They wanted, all three cars to get into the top three and try to stay up there. It was definitely a green flag, I believe.
Okay. And Zach, what say you?
I don't know. I feel like we've had this discussion before. I feel like it'd be hard to relay that message. Maybe you can go on a team meeting and say, come up with a game plan, but I don't know. That would be kind of hard, in my opinion. I would probably say red flag.
Okay. And Tom, what about you?
I'm saying green flag all the way. I think that they realized that with fresh air, they could get out front, but they needed a little help. They needed some cars between them and the cars with fresh tires. So they said, everybody stay out. We'll have 3 of us start up front. One of us will probably get away and have a chance to win. I think it was a total thing of a common strategy among the team. I think it was team orders.
I'm going to go red flag here. Just on the basis of it's $1 million and an all-star win. I mean, every driver is going to go for it. I mean, hell, in the past, we've seen both Curtin and Kyle Busch wreck each other for the win. We saw Denny Hamlin put Kyle Busch in the wall to win to try and win the all-star race. I don't think it was necessarily team orders. I just think it was each team just trying to win the race, but they just happened to be on the same team. So that's why I'm going red flag. I don't think it was team orders, but it certainly did look like it. And that is your green flag, red flag for this week.
Okay. All right. So, do we want to go into, help me out, guys. Are we going into the mid-season review or are we going into the preview of the Cup race?
I'm going to go. I'm sorry, Zach, go ahead.
Well, somebody said do not erase the results for the All-Star preview, so I assume somebody wants to talk about it.
Yeah, I put that there just because I just want to look at how many of our drivers got wrecked. Because both of my picks got wrecked. Actually, all 3 of my picks got wrecked. Larson, Busch, and Eric Jones got wrecked, so that sucks.
Yeah, all mine got wrecked too.
Yeah.
I had Ross Chastain and Kyle Larson.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Besides Zach, who actually got Ryan Blaney as the winner, Tom, his best is William Byron, who got 11th. And actually, Darko Suarez, who got 5th. Yeah, just none of us really did well, except for Zach, who got Blaney right.
I think it helps that maybe we should pick 3 drivers next race apiece, because I feel like the more drivers we add, one of us is bound to win. I feel like this is the first time that we've had a winner correctly predicted this season. Am I right?
I don't know. I'll have to go through the old podcast and see if that's true or not. But
I think it is. Let's just pick.
Don't say that, Zach. You're making us look like we're not very smart. People think we know our NASCAR.
Well, it's hard.
You're making us look pretty dumb.
It's hard to pick the right winner. So, because you got 36 other guys.
Exactly.
Well, 35. We don't count Cody Ware.
No. No one's asked him to pick Cody Ware.
Or Cody.
Yeah. But anyway, this kind of segment that I told the guys I wanted to pick, since to include here, since it's the All-Star race, we are now officially halfway through the regular season, or halfway through the season at least. And so, with so many changes this season, with the new car, new tire, new teams coming in, and just overall relatively new overhaul of everything, I just kind of wanted to go around the studio here and kind of give like a few statements that you think have been good, which have been very underwhelming, and just your overall opinions for the midseason, I guess, wrap up. If you want to go first, then I'll go first.
It was your segment. You go first.
All right. So since the introduction of the new car, I went back and took a look at the unveiling video of the new car, the new Chevy, the new Ford, the new Toyota, and see what each one of the like Steve and it's like I am blinking out here. I forgot his last name. Steve O'Donnell and just the president of NASCAR, just all the high-ranking NASCAR officials had to say about this new car. And so I just wanted to kind of point out some things here and see how well have they hit so far. One of the biggest points was return to stock car racing. I think overall they hit it fairly well. The cars do look like their production counterparts, even though it's not necessarily a pure stock car. like it has been for decades in the first few decades of the sport. I think they're kind of progressing in the right direction with that. So I'll give that a check mark. Yes, they have fulfilled that right now. Makes sport healthier and stronger. Very general statement with that from Steve O'Donnell to kind of bring in new talent and bring in new, I guess, businesses and marketing. They have, but at this point, can you really say the sport is healthier and stronger? And in what regard is healthier and stronger? Not really. So that was a maybe. And then finally, improve the racing on the track. I think we can go ahead and say right now that this has been a complete failure. Except for... I'm sorry, David, go ahead.
I wouldn't say complete failure. I think that the competitiveness across the board, as far as like equipment, has kind of neutralized, and it's some more driver talent is showing, but there is a lot of problems with the car too.
That is fair. That was one of the goals for the new car, was to kind of even up the playing field, which has been very prevalent and very well received. But as for most of all this on my list, no, this has been a complete mess. So no.
I think it's improved racing on the track. But I do think that the new car kind of has exposed race tracks, not necessarily flaws within the race car itself. I think with tracks, I mean, you have tracks that have been bad with the old car, like Texas, but they're even more pronounced with a new car, with a new tire, with all this other new stuff that we're still trying to get sorted out. I think it really highlights the issues at some of these tracks and the traction compound and the years and years and years of neglecting what fans and frankly other analysts have been saying have been wrong with tracks on the schedule itself. I think when you look at it, the goal, and at least what I thought going in, was putting the car back into the driver's hands, and I think they did that a lot. I think that you can take a look at the standings right now and say, man, I feel like this is the closest the field has been in terms of parity, and I keep saying it, since a very long time. We see drivers that normally, with teams that are normally not nowhere near the front, consistently running in the top 10 and challenging for stage wins and wins. So I think that is a positive. I think whenever you have a new car, you're going to have issues, and like we've seen this season, I think the schedule has been exposed. Like I said earlier, I think Goodyear with the bigger rims, they've been kind of exposed. That's definitely a big problem, like we discussed earlier. But one of the main things that I love is that, other than Texas, I didn't really see the kind of issues that we saw with the 550 package last season, where it was basically like a super speedway race. Anytime that they put the restrictor plates in for that 550 package, it was you were unable to pass. It was basically restart and then try and hang on. We saw a lot more this year, people being able to drive through the field, hang on to the car long runs, and being able to challenge late into the run, other than certain tracks. So, and in my opinion, I think they're heading in the right direction, but obviously there are going to be issues with the new car. I thought the most surprising thing that I thought was the parity between drivers, which I think is what NASCAR needed for quite a while. Being able to showcase talents from smaller teams, I think, was probably the biggest thing, in my opinion.
Okay.
One of the things Steve O'Donnell said was NASCAR's pertaining to the composite body. NASCAR is all about beating and banging, so last chance for that cut tire to occur with this design.
I got a good laugh out of
that.
I got a good laugh out of that.
Man, that's just...
Yeah, he also said that the cars are going to be more tough, or going to be a lot tougher. So that, or yes, give me John, the lead engineer. I don't know his last name. Sorry. The car will be more resilient. No.
The bodies are, not the parts. You clap a wall and it busts that whole front end askew and it's over. And then you can't turn into the garage. Kyle Busch.
That's the suspension. I think as far as the bodies go, I mean, we saw Kyle Larson hit the wall how many times at Kansas and how many times at Darlington,
cruising.
and he didn't cut down a tire. I think in a certain aspects that they nailed it, but the independent suspension has definitely proved an issue because when you tap the wall at the right position, you're done. You're done.
And then
it doesn't matter how hard you hit the wall either. It's just at that angle you're done.
Another thing John said, these cars can run on any type of track we go to. I mean, they can.
I mean, we saw Ross Chastain do it at Talladega. I mean, hell, he brought the car he won with at Coda to Talladega and won.
Yeah, that blows my mind.
So yeah, I mean, that's why I gave that a big old green check mark because Chastain proved it. You can do it.
Crazy.
So, all right. So, Tom, what do you think of the mid-season so far? Are you liking this season? Are you not liking it? Kind of where's your thoughts at so far?
Well, the new car has kind of dominated the discussion, but I think there's a lot of other things going on here to talk about during the season. I think the emergence of Trackhouse Racing, or at least Ross Chastain, as a powerhouse and a title contender has been a great surprise. I was anxious to see what RFK would do with Brad Keselowski there. And they got off to a great start at the Clash. They got off to a great start in the duels. But once the regular season started, they really haven't shown much. And that was disappointed because I would love to see that organization get back to where it once was, to be a top-tier organization. I think that the racing being put more back in the hands of the driver is what I have loved the most about this season. I mean, I think if we are running the old car, we've seen several strong runs out of Eric Jones, out of that Petty GMS camp, and I don't think we see that with the old car. I think putting the car back in the hands of the driver has been the thing that I like the best. And quite honestly, I'm not sure in the old car if we see Ross Chastain visiting Victory Lane as often as he has. So that's been my favorite part. Like I said, I'm disappointed in the Roush Fenway Keselowski. I was hoping, but I didn't realistically expect it, at least not this year. Maybe next year they get better, or maybe later in the year, but I wasn't expecting it. But those have been the things that have been the big storylines for me. Overall, I do think this new car is going to be good. I think the benefits and the fact that I do think it is a little bit tougher car and you can beat and bang a little bit, I think it puts it back in the hands of the driver. I think the issues with the tires and the lug nuts, they will figure out. They're just not going to get them figured out as soon as we would like. So those are kind of my thoughts to talk about some different storylines from the first half of the regular season, besides just the car.
Yeah, and I want to point out, it's not like we saw one lug nut issue in the first half of the season. I don't think it's as big of an issue as some people say, because we've gone half a season and only have had one instance that we've seen be a problem. It wasn't great, but it's not like we're having these issues every single race. So I don't think that's as big of an issue as people are making it out to be. I do think that it's part of fine tuning, but that's just how I feel about that.
Well, I separate the lug nut issue as a separate issue from the tires. The tires, to me, is the issue is that the tires are just being cut down very easily. I mean, you take a 1.5 mile track, a fuel run is over 50 laps, and we're seeing somebody with a tire issue almost every 20 to 25 laps. I mean, that's barely halfway through, and you're seeing somebody with a tire issue.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I do remove both, as separate issues. I agree with you on that one.
Randy chiming in, I miss old Texas. We
Same,
all do, buddy.
man. I miss old Texas. To me right now, that is probably the only thing that can save Texas Motor Speedway at this point is to get it back to its original form.
But even if they can do that, I mean, they've admitted that they screwed up with putting the traction compound down, and they can't get it off.
And
So-
it's stuck.
And at this
Imagine
point,
that.
just demolish the old racing service and then reconfigure back to the old. I mean, hell, you're already at the lowest possible point you can go. I mean, if you go back, you're still may not be great, but at least you're better than where you're at.
I don't think there's any plans to do anything to Texas.
yeah.
I mean, it's not like Atlanta or Auto Club where they had plans to reconfigure it or they're not talking about repavement. They're not talking about doing anything to Texas.
They need to repave.
I mean, the only people talking about changing Texas are fans.
Yeah.
Well, then it's just gonna sink and be like every Texas track that NASCAR's ever been to besides COTA. It will just wither away into nothingness.
But you know what? After this race, there have been plenty of NASCAR news folk that have gone out and said that the track is just not raceable, and I think this is exactly what they needed. This is exactly what we needed for SMI to realize that there's
Texas
no
sucks.
saving this track.
No.
It needs to be repaved, and obviously it's not going to be great when it's repaved because newly repaved tracks never do great right now. But eventually the hope is to get that back to where it was. Because not only is NASCAR looking at it, but IndyCar, we might not have races at Texas if they continue down the same track that they have been.
Which I'm fine with.
All right, guys, carry on without me. I got a son who's got a day and a half school left. I need to make sure he is in bed. I will be right back. Carry on without me.
Gotcha.
Sure.
But if Texas is gone from the schedule, and I'm saying hypothetical if you were like supreme god of NASCAR, your word is law, your word is divine. What you say goes, no matter what the cost. Who will take Texas' spot?
Give me a second.
I think it's going to be you know what? I think it'd be comedic justice for NASCAR to go back to North Wilkesboro. Say, you know what? Texas was a big disaster. We are very sorry. You guys have a permanent spot on our schedule for the rest of our organizational life.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many tracks that I liked Kentucky. I wish that was still on the track. Chicagoland was great too.
Yeah.
So if you kind of want to match similar, I would go back to Chicagoland. I always thought the racing was decent there.
I have heard that Chicagoland might be coming back.
Yeah, that's the news on the grapevine. I don't know if I would believe it too much, but yeah, that's the news on the grapevine.
So Chicago might not be dead after all.
Oh, Jordan, Indianapolis. Yes, that would be
Yes!
perfect.
Yes! Bring back the Indianapolis Oval, please.
See, I would love to see Indianapolis with this new car. I don't know. Something about it, I think, seems like it would be a really good race.
It might be, but with the aero issues right now and the leader just having complete control of the race, it might not be that good of a race, though.
Yeah.
That might be the only problem with it.
What are your thoughts? Indianapolis with this new car? What do you think? Would it be a good race, Tom?
Indy Oval?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
don't know. Don't know.
I don't know. It depends on what
I
kind
like
of
to
package
see
they
it.
run there. But I
Yeah.
think it would be good. Definitely make it horsepower related. Oh man. Get a run off the corner and then you'll be able to pass on the backstretch. So I think there's potential, but I don't know. How do you fix the air issue? Short answer is you can't really, but
Either put in more downforce somewhere or get them more horsepower.
yeah, I would say more horsepower is probably we tried it. We tried the bigger spoiler and that didn't work. It just created more pack racing. So
Yeah.
I would definitely say more horsepower. But obviously that puts more
Yeah.
stress on the engines.
Well, anyway, it's near 10:30. Let's just go ahead and quickly do our picks for the 600. All right. Who wants to go first with their picks? I'm not ready for it.
I'm not ready either. Tom, are you ready?
I'm going to say it is either Chase Elliott or Ryan Blaney. I'm a big believer in momentum. And if you win one week and you've got confidence and you've got a fast car, you're probably going to have a fast car the next week. So I think Ryan Blaney, add to that the fact that he's got 2 third-place finishes out of his last 4 races. If you look at Chase Elliott has been a beast on the Charlotte Oval. He's got a win, 2 seconds, and a 4th. So in 4 races, his worst finish in those 4 races is 4th place. So I'm saying Ryan Blaney or Chase Elliott. If I have to pick a dark horse, I am torn because Ricky Stenhouse has a 4th and a 5th place there. And I believe Chris Buescher, if I can find Chris Buescher here. Chris Buescher actually has a couple, but hold on. Chris Buescher has a 10th, a 6th, and an 8th. So I'm going to go with Stenhouse over Buescher as my dark horse, but that's what I've got going into this.
Okay, very interesting.
My dark horse is for sure Eric Jones. I think that he's got a good race coming his way here soon. He's been victim of unfortunate circumstance in a few races where he's been up front, running around up there, the top 5, top 10. But my pick for the week is going to be Kyle Larson because he's good at 1.5 tracks, and he needs to do some more this year.
If he can finish,
I know.
Kyle Larson can't finish.
I know. I need him to have some good luck, man. It's my favorite driver. All right.
I am gonna say Martin Truex Jr. That's my pick. He's been pretty strong at Coke 600s. He has a win, top 5, 3 top 10s, and led over 203 laps recently. So I'm gonna say him. I would say I guess I would say my dark horse. I'm gonna pick. I think I'm gonna go with. I just missed it. I think I'm gonna go with Daniel Suarez. I don't know. I have a feeling.
As your dark horse?
Yeah.
All right, and for my pick, and I am so very sorry, it just comes to bite you in the ass, man. The 600 is known for first-time winners, and you know who who hasn't won yet? Tyler Mother freaking Reddick. It's a 600-mile race. It's all about strategy. It's all about being aggressive when it counts. So I have to go with Tyler Reddick. Plus, just the history of the 600 being a first-time winner's dream, along with Daytona and Talladega, it has to be Reddick. This has to be the race for him. So I'm gonna go with that. And plus he's got like a day longer rest, and so he's gonna be well rested for it. And for my dark horse, I am going to go with. Just to make Puggy happy, I'm going with Austin Dillon as a dark horse pick. I know, man. I know.
To speak on Tom's tidbit earlier about Trackhouse doing well and whatnot, let's give a shout out to Justin Haley. I've seen him up in the top 10, 5, and I've also seen Corey LaJoy making his way up there, led some laps in the All-Star race. Good for them.
Yeah, he got a top 5 finish at Darlington.
I know. That was awesome.
Yeah.
You know what? Though, you look back at the All-Star Open. Corey LaJoy was. See if I can find my notes here. Was your first clue that it was not going to be a good race? Okay. Because Corey LaJoy could not, on fresher tires, run down Suarez in that final stage. And I said, is that a reflection of the package, or is that Corey LaJoy as a driver, or is that the equipment? We realized it was the package, but that was the first clue that we were not going to see good racing because he had fresh tires in that last stage and couldn't run down Suarez.
Yeah, well, our first clue should have been it's at Texas.
Well,
This should
okay.
be our first big blue.
He was trying to be nice.
No, I'm not being nice. Texas sucks. But anyway,
I want to go back to David's point with Eric Jones as the dark horse. You know what? If here's the theme that I see with Eric Jones this year is look at what he does in practice. If he is in the top 10 or top 5 in his practice times, he's going to have a good run. It seems like that is a team that after practice where they're going to be. That if they don't practice well, they don't run well. But the times that they have ran well, if you look at where they were in practice, they were up there in the top 5 or top 10 in practice. So I hesitate to pick him because I haven't seen his practice times yet. But if he practices well, he will run well.
Yeah, and also, Tom, your pick,
Stenhouse.
Thank you. Very good pick. I would have picked him had I gone first, but because when you look at it, Chris Buescher also two of his top 10s have come in JT Daugherty equipment. So when you look at it, it seems like JT Daugherty is really good at Charlotte themselves. So that was a good pick.
All right, I think we are about done for the night. Anybody got any parting comments before we say goodnight and end this broadcast?
none from me.
All right, I want to thank David Bowers for being our guest host to make this a truly all-star cast as we go through the all-star. And again, want to send out thoughts and prayers to everybody associated with that terrible tragedy with the school shooting in Texas. And hope everybody enjoys the long weekend, enjoys the race, and remember what Memorial Day is for. It is not just about picnics and racing. It is about honoring the people who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So please remember the reason for this holiday as you celebrate the long weekend. So with that, we are out of here. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.
Absolutely.